Gina Carano, a star of Disney's Star Wars TV show The Mandalorian, has been canceled. She has been canceled apparently for something that she said about the Jews, which sounds really bad, and bigoted and everything. We're going to get into what she actually said. I don't think she said anything wrong whatsoever. But even more broadly, if Disney executives don't like what Gina Carano has to say about the Jews, just imagine their shock when they Google Walt Disney. I think I was a little unfair to Walt Disney. Walt Disney, there's this kind of rumor that he hated the Jews or something. He was kind of a bigot. There's actually really no evidence of this, but I figure it's a funny enough hit. Same cannot be said of Baby Yoda, though. I can't believe they haven't canceled that guy yet. You get a couple drinks in Baby Yoda, you set him off talking about the Jews and the Mexicans and the Italians. Oh my gosh, it's like little green David Duke or something. But Gina Carano didn't say anything wrong. Disney put out a statement based on Gina Carano's old social media posts. They say, her social media posts denigrating people based on their cultural and religious identities are abhorrent and unacceptable. So, oh gosh, abhorrent and unacceptable. Okay, what did she say? So I pulled up the post. This is the worst post they could find. This is the height of her bigotry on social media. Gina Carano wrote, quote, Jews were beaten in the streets, not by Nazi soldiers, but by their neighbors, even by children. Because history is edited, most people don't realize that to get to the point where Nazi soldiers could easily round up thousands of Jews, the government first made their own neighbors hate them simply for being Jews. How is that any different from hating someone for their political views? What she's saying, the Nazi regime had this hatred of Jews ethnically and religiously. And so it's not like they just came in one day and everyone was being really nice to the Jews, and then the Nazis said, well, no, we're going to be awful to them and round them up and, commit all these atrocities. No, they fomented a culture in which Jews were otherized, castigated, whatever term you want to use. And Gina Carano is saying this can be done politically as well. This can be done to people based on their political views, just as it can be based on their ethnicity or based on their religion. Of course that's true. It's not denigrating Jews at all. I guess she's denigrating Nazis, but that seems perfectly fine. Is the issue here for Disney that Gina Carano was making a Nazi comparison? Is Disney saying, it's wrong to invoke any sort of Nazi imagery ever when making a political point? Fair enough, but if you were to hold that view, then most people would fall silent, because the only two historical events most people, especially leftists, know anything about is World War II and the fall of the Roman Empire, right? That's all. Those are the only sort of events anyone ever invokes. Joe Biden just did this. Joe Biden just compared Donald Trump to Goebbels, like a few months ago. The left, the entire left, has been calling Donald Trump literally Hitler and calling 75 million Americans Nazis for years. But it's wrong when Carano, she's not even exactly comparing the Democrats to Nazis. She's just saying that this kind of culture in which conservatives are being ostracized and censored and deplored, that has historical parallels. Is that the issue here? Really, the reason they're doing this, because I actually thought Gina Carano had already been fired. This story came up months and months ago, and it's not because she said anything about the Jews or because she said anything about the Nazis or because she said anything about anybody. It's because she is a conservative, and she supports Trump, and she's made fun of woke culture, and so the fix was always in. They were always going to try to get her. Now they're using this ridiculous excuse. It's kind of like what they did to Megyn Kelly, which is you had people on network news who wore blackface, right? You had Joy Behar darkened her skin for a costume. You had people on NBC, where Megyn Kelly was working, who would wear blackface in sketches. Totally fine. But then Megyn Kelly one day was discussing the topic of blackface. She said, if you were to darken your skin to be part of a costume to portray an individual, not a race broadly, but an individual, is that okay? And they fired her for it. They call it her blackface controversy. As if raising the mere topic of blackface was so offensive, and yet for the other hosts to actually wear it, not offensive at all. It's because there's no principle here. It's just that NBC didn't like Megyn Kelly, so they were going to kick her out. People are calling this cancel culture. I wish we could retire that phrase, because I don't think it's helpful. It's obviously describing a real phenomenon. We're seeing it. It's where conservatives or anyone who's not a radical leftist gets ostracized or fired or censored for refusing to adhere to left-wing orthodoxy. So it's a real thing that's happening. But cancel culture doesn't describe it. There are plenty of people who should be canceled. I'll give you an example just at Disney. James Gunn made all those jokes about how he wanted to have sex with children. If anybody is going to be canceled, James Gunn should be the one to be canceled, not Gina Carano. I'll give you a further example, though, because James Gunn might say, well, I was kidding, it was in poor taste, but I'm a comedian, and so, you got to give me a pass. Mark Hamill, Luke Skywalker, is accused of trying to coerce his son's girlfriend, who his son had knocked up, into killing the baby. So Mark Hamill allegedly pressured his son's girlfriend to kill his own grandson. And there are apparently texts and messages and all this sort of stuff. If that is true, Mark Hamill should be canceled. He should be not just fired from Star Wars, not just fired from Disney. He should be removed from polite society. He should be ostracized. He should be shunned. He should be canceled. He should not be invited to participate in things. It's a very, very bad thing. He certainly should not be invited to participate in things until he repents and says he's sorry and acknowledges how awful that is. Because nobody seriously opposes this broad definition of cancel culture. Nobody seriously believes that there ought to be no consequences whatsoever for things that people say and do. Nobody believes, if Gina Carano had walked onto the set one day and said Zig Heil, Heil Hitler, and had a swastika on her clothing, nobody believes she should keep her job. What people are when people oppose cancel culture, what they're saying is that not that there should not be standards by which people rise and fall in their careers, but rather that the standards that people are being judged by are ridiculous. Because in the olden days, you would be judged by traditional standards. If you violate the traditional moral order or traditional social mores, you would face consequences. But now it's completely upended standards. It's left-wing standards. And that's the real problem. But let's not overstate our case. Let's not say we're free speech purists. What does that mean? There's never been such a thing as free speech purism. There have always been categories of speech that are not permitted in society and sort of behaviors that are not permitted. What we're actually saying something a little harder. I think conservatives think it's really simple, it's easy, it's inoffensive to just say, we support all speech, we support all actions, we don't want any standards. It's really easy. This is why we've lost on political correctness. We need to say something that requires more courage. We need to say some things are right, some things are wrong. You should be permitted to say and do some things, and you should face consequences for saying and doing other things. We have to be willing to do that. That kind of a regime of speech and behavior is going to exist. It has in every society and always will. It's just right now we've completely ceded that ground to the left. I hope you enjoyed that clip from The Michael Knowles Show. To check out the full episode, hit the link in the description or download The Michael Knowles Show wherever you listen to podcasts.